Today's topic, Confession of a Gangster. It takes us to a story of a young kid who grew up in a household with biological parents that was his parents, mother and father, no stepmother, no stepfather, no drug addict parents, none of the typical 1980s and 90s stories that a lot of us go through as a black culture and other cultures. And so this is a story about a young man, a young kid, man, who grew up, who was inspired by his father. His father was his king. His father was his mentor. His father was his hero. His father was everything to his life. Not just his life, but his siblings as well. His father was everything to him. On top of that, including his queen, his mother, his father's other half. So he come from a family that was cut from a cloth of love, affection, emotions, standards, principles, morals, values, teaching, guidance. He didn't come from a family where he didn't know who his father was, or he didn't know who his mother was, or they was dope fiends, or he didn't get discipline coming up and growing up. No, this kid came from a family of discipline, ass whooping, spare the rod, if you will. True, real ass whoopings by his mother and his father. Feel me? So this is a story about a kid, man, who grew up with dreams, man, and aspirations once upon a time in his life, who really, really had big dreams, man, major dreams. And those dreams was to become an NFL. Two different sports was the fields that he strived in to become professional players in both of these fields, football and baseball. Although this kid was great as a triathlon, I'm talking about an all-around athlete. He was great at everything he done, from track, swimming, flag football, contact football, baseball, played basketball, even though that wasn't his sport, but he played it well. Point guard, was a shooter, defensive player. So everything that he conquered in his life of the field of sports at a young age as a kid, he was great at it, man. And I mean great at it. And this kid, like I said, had admirations, man, had big dreams and admirations once upon a time in his life as a young kid, 11, 9, 10 years old. You know what I mean? Growing up, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson, Missouri, from state of Kansas City, Missouri itself. Family bloodline runs all through Missouri, Jackson, St. Louis, Kansas City, Missouri, then all the way down to Texas, Austin, ATX, Fort Worth, Dallas, you know what I mean? And so I come from a strong family bloodline, man, of love, structure. And so this kid, take a sip of my hot chocolate right quick, y'all, if I will. So this kid grew up with this mindset that I'm gonna become a professional football player, I'm gonna succeed, I'm gonna achieve these goals, and I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna buy my mama and my daddy a mansion. I'm gonna buy each one of my siblings their own brand new house. No matter what size the house may be, I'm gonna do that. Me as the oldest sibling. These was my goal sets. This was my mindset at a young age. At a young age. Now mind you, this kid grew up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, reading the almanac, reading books at an early age because he had to, because his father made him. His father was disciplined. His father was an Army veteran, a straight up Army veteran. Fought in Vietnam, crucial. Spoke 6 different languages. Feel me? So his father was everything to this kid. And so with this teaching in his household, man, one day in this young kid's life, before getting to that, let me just back up to the origins. The origins of this kid's dreams were to achieve these goals, like he said, in sports. However, this kid and his family ended up coming to California with the dream of success, building a family of a happy life. This was my father's, this was my parents' dream. This was their goals once upon a time when they were living, when they were here on earth. This was my mother and father's primary goals. My daddy left Kansas City in the late 60s, 68, 69, came to Cali. We had relatives that was already out here, my big relative Cecil, my Uncle Junior, Roosevelt. So I had family that was out here in Cali already in 68, 69. So this is what led us this way, was my father's vision. That I'm gonna go out here with my brother, you know, his younger brother that was under him, Roosevelt, which was another war veteran. Feel me? My father had like 4 brothers that fought in the wars. My Uncle Don, Uncle DJ, another one of my great mentors in life. And so, with that being said, my father's vision was to move us to California and to build a great life for his family outside of the birth and the origins and our roots of Kansas City, but never forgetting our roots. And so here we are. We landed in California, 69, late 69. Late 69, early 70, we ended up in the Lion's Den, Washington Gardens. We ended up in Washington Gardens, not with my father's will, something that my father had planned. It wasn't the first place that we landed in when we got here. By the time my father developed and came and got his family, I traveled with my daddy to and forth. So I came out here in 69. I lived in a motel with my daddy on Central Avenue, which was a very popular old motel. Red Fox used to come congregate in this motel with his little dates. My daddy, we stayed in this motel. I'll never forget these things because it was real to me and true. So I stayed in a motel in Swan Hood. And my homies from Swans, they can tell you, contested, that motel still exists and sits right there on this corner next to the motorcycle shop and the car wash. It sits right in between the car wash, the motorcycle shop, and some apartments. But me and my daddy, I don't recall the exact name of the motel, but me and my daddy stayed in that motel for a few weeks. Then my daddy sent me back home to Missouri to get the family ready, get the family together. At this time, you know, I'm like 11, 12 years old. So I come back home to Missouri, and so in that process, my daddy bought into some land on 103rd and Broadway. And this was long before gangs had structured and set in, before the cripping really kicked in. And so my daddy bought this corner, and they built Sheenway Karate School. This was where me and my little brother participated for 14 years. We studied, mastered. And I went all the way to get my first degree in black belt. My little brother ended up finishing his in brown belt before he deceased. But we went to this school. My daddy put us in the school, and we was there. Even all the way from when we lived on that side, and then when we moved into projects, we stayed in school. We was in Sheenway, which is called BKF. That's the tattoo on my side of my neck, side of my head right there. That's what that tattoo stands for. It's sacred. BKF, Black Karate Federation. You understand what I'm saying? So I started out young, combative, on my combat tip because of my daddy. My attitude, my temperament, my fighting skills, me being on point, ready to fight at any given moment, all that shit was instilled in me. It came from my father. Came from my father's bloodline, my father's genes. So this shit was instilled from my father. And I have no regrets of it. I thank God that I was able to have a father that was that solid and smart and shrewd and defensive. Because he was able to instill into me, my brothers, my sisters, my siblings. So, moving along, my father went bellied up and went bankrupt and lost a ton of money. And at this time, we're talking about 69, 70, $65,000 to $70,000 is a hell of a lot of money for a black man in that era. And so my father went bellied up, went bankrupt, so he filed bankrupt, and we ended up moving. So in 70, we in the Nixon Garden projects. The projects that, and I come out of a projects in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, which was Wayne Minor projects, down there by 12th Street. You had Wayne Minor, you know what I'm saying, me. You had Woodland Elementary School up the street before they dynamited and blew it all up. You know what I mean? I come out of them projects off the 19th floor, damn near the 20th floor of the projects. How about watching some damn tornadoes at 9 and 8 years old in the projects of Kansas City, Missouri, and you can see the damn tornadoes a mile or 2 miles away. Literally, you can see this shit. So I grew up, man, you know, in eras, bro, of real poverty and real structure, bro. I wasn't dealt a silver spoon, you know, in my upcoming. I didn't get a chance straight out the gate, you know, to just grow up with a father who had big money and a father who, you know, was successful already. My parents was in their 40s when they died, man. We didn't get a chance. My daddy was just getting his toes wet, feel me? But he was handling his business. We didn't get a chance because I know if my king was still here and my queen was here, I know the accomplishments my parents would have made alone. I know this. So with that being said, it landed us in the Lion's Den of the Nixon Gardens, man. And it was an experience of a lifetime. I mean, an experience of a lifetime that I have my regrets, and then I have I'm glad I went through these things. I learned it, and I learned it from this situation, and I was in them projects, Nixon Gardens. If I had to do it, and it was gonna be done, I'm glad it was the Nixon Garden. I wasn't no Crip. I wasn't from no Jordan Downs. I wasn't from the PJs. I wasn't from here, Timbuktu, and I'm not taking that from none of them gangs. Trust me when I say this. It's just me, my choice. I'm glad it was the fucking mighty WNGs, William Nixon Gardens. Because it was a life lesson. It was a life lesson. You feel me? So, another sip. That's good. So, with that being said, my journey started as a young kid. Here it is, this kid went from the Midwest, the South, landed in the West Coast. Bam. And not only did he land in the West Coast, he landed in the West Coast. Watts. W-A-T-T-S. The land. He landed into the hub of the whole entire city of Los Angeles. Watts. And not only did he land into Watts, he landed into WNG, Watts Nixon Guards, Bounty Hunters. Before Bounty Hunters, Green Jackets. You understand what I'm saying? We talking about a neighborhood that was built on reputation. A neighborhood was built on ruthlessness. A neighborhood that was built on fear. A neighborhood that was built on, I dare you to even come through here. Police, whitey, enemies, and all. This was the neighborhood this kid grew up in. So how can you not expect him to be who the fuck he is right now today? A real one. Bountyhunterbj. Hey man, you just been tapped in. You tuned in right now. In case you don't know, man, you tuned in and you tapped in right now, man. You know what I mean? R.O.E, man, 2023, man. You're tuned in right now on my station, live, uncut, for the people, by the people, to the people. Y'all know my motto, man. For the people, to the people, by the people, man. Uncut, man. Real. Hey, get on the phone right quick, man, while we on this segment. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. And whoever y'all already know, my homegirl, Glory, man. Tell Glory, hey, your big homie's at it again, man. Telling that truth, man. Teaching, man. Inspiring before he expire, man. Let's go, man. So yeah, man, you've been tapped in, man. And for those who's just tuning in right now, today's topic, today's EP, today's subject, man, on this Tuesday, is Confession of a Gangster. Confession of a gangster, man. So let's go. Moving along real quick so I can knock this out. So as I said, this kid, he grew up, man, you know what I'm saying, and he grew up in one of the most dominant, fearless projects in Los Angeles. I'm going to say it again. One of the most dominant, fearless projects in Los Angeles. This kid grew up in it on 114 Folsom lot. He is Folsom. Every bit of Folsom. Feel me? Regulate that whole area. See, a lot of us in my hood, when we was growing up as kids, we had devious reputations as young niggas as our kids, because certain areas in our areas, we regulated. We ran them areas. Literally, we ran them areas. Like I had this side, my side, LB, Loaf had the corner from that lot on there. Then you got Hook over there on the no line. Feel me? And then you got homies over here on the Bountyhunter side, the Bountyhunter lot, the 11, the Ace. You got B.O.B. on them over here. Man, we had homies that really was real niggas. So this is the area this kid grew up in. And this kid had to adapt to. Now, mind you, we're talking about a kid who come from a family background of love. L-O-V-E, man. Love. Love. Compassion. Emotions. Feelings. Parents who cared. And now he's transitioning to a world of kids who got the opposite. A1, he probably only got a mother, don't know who his daddy is. Or got a daddy, don't know who the mama is. Or got both and they're on dope. Or got both. Because one thing about our culture back then, there were a lot of black strong couples who stuck together and raised their kids and raised their seeds and raised their family, man. A lot of them. And that's a lot of things that I so respected about my neighborhood and growing up in the projects and watching that, watching gangsters, watching my big homies that was gangsters. But them niggas was fathers though, first. They was G's, man, but they was fathers. They loved their kids. They loved their family. Fathers, man. So I seen that. I was able to see both sides of that world. So as this kid dreams to become shattered at one point in time of his life, again, he landed into the Lions Dens. He's in the Watts Nixon Gardens. It's in the 70s. Now he's in training corps. Here he go. He's in training corps. Now he's torn between two worlds. He's torn between two worlds. It's like taking these glasses off. I'm outside. I'm off the porch. I'm roaming around the projects, figuring shit out. Oh, okay, this is how this is going on. I got 2 or 3 individuals in my ear that's irritating me. And they kids like me, but they know the project because they was born here. Which was my relative Big Hit, man, was one of them. You feel me? Then I got Freddie Thornton. You know what I'm saying, me? And we roam in the projects. But as we roaming, I'm learning. See, this is a teaching phase for me, so I'm learning at a young age, 11 years old. Still in elementary. So, as we roaming, but my mind is still stuck on sports. My characteristics is still stuck on sports, because this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm really finna do what I need to do now, because I gotta get us up out of here. Me and my daddy, he didn't mean to be here. He didn't mean to end up here in the project, so I gotta get me and my family out of here. I gotta graduate from high school, go to college, and get me and my family up out of here. This is my mindset now. Although I know my daddy's goal was, he said, when we landed here and we moved in here, he said, we only going to the projects. We got a cousin living there already, so we got a choice. We can either go to the jungles or we moving to Nixon. We had 2 relatives that stayed in the jungles at the time, and we had a relative that stayed in the Nixon. My daddy chose to go to the projects. So he moved us to the projects. I'm going to move here temporarily, move my family here, save money, rebuild, revamp, and I'm going to move us out of here. You know what I'm saying? So that was my king's overall plan, man. That was his overall plan. However, that plan was shattered. And I'm slowly but getting to that. So in that process, it landed us in the Lions Den of Nixon Gardens. And so now I'm in training corps. So I'm torn between these two worlds. I'm off the porch, I'm roaming my hood, and I'm learning. So I'm from the hood now at an early young age. Like I explained this on TV Land to a lot of you guys on TV Land. I'm from the hood now, no matter what school I go to, whether it's 111, 112, Gompers, Markham, you know what I mean? It didn't matter what school, because of you lived in that area, association puts you from that hood. I don't give a damn if it's Greenwood Street. Nigga, you from Greenwood. If you live on Greenwood and it was a gang in Greenwood, then you was considered from Greenwood. You didn't necessarily have to be a gang member, but people at your school or people who know you live in Greenwood, they gonna say, oh man, that nigga from Greenwood. Just like that, just from association. So I'm associated from Nixon Garden now, all right? However, now it became a time I graduated from my association from just being from the hood to now I'm actually from the set because, excuse me, not from the set yet, but I'm actually from the hood now because I'm a member. Meaning I done associated myself with other gang bangers and gang members now. I'm running around with them. We breaking into shit, we doing shit, you know what I mean? But my good smart ass, I didn't have to do the stealing and the thieving because I had a mind. I was smart and I was a leader. So I was smart. So I'll let all the thief niggas do all the stealing and the thieving. I'm the lookout guy. I'm the planner. I'm the nigga that's gonna come with the plan to get us away. That's me. So we ain't gonna do nothing random and just stupid out of the ordinary. Whatever we do, we gonna do it and get away with it. So that was me. So now I'm a member. So now in this process of being a member, I'm torn between my household. How do I hide this shit from my mom and my daddy? Because my mom and my daddy find out I'm out here talking about Bounty Hunter at 12 and 13 years old. Man, my daddy gonna put his Vietnam boots so far up in my ass, man. I know I ain't gonna be able to ever have a bowel movement again. Don't let my mama get a hold of them damn stitchy cars and them orange Hot Wheel tracks. Nigga, I'm gonna be looking like Kunta Kinte from the back. And it wasn't abuse, it was love. Hard love. Real parenting love. And you can only be a real kid to grow up in that era to know what I'm talking about. And it's a whole lot of y'all out there, the 70s, 60s, 80s, and 90s babies that know what real hard love means, man, from your parents. I give the world, if I could say this to my mom and my daddy right now, I give everything. Hard love. Last sip. And so now, knowing this, I'm torn between these two worlds. I'm fascinated by the dress codes. I'm fascinated from the perms, you know what I mean? The big afros, the hairnets, the daisikis, to the fucking AC-doocies, the brims, the golf hats, you know what I mean? The way they wear them, the way they swag. Man, I had a big homie named Charlie Purse. CP used to sit on one damn little stoop on the end of 114 going to the fire line on the fire hydrant. Had handlebars out this world, man. I'm talking about, man, the Nixon Guard produced real squabbers. Not from all the way down from the Godfather, big homie Ray Boyce. I can name you squabblers, man. We had big homies that had hands, man. Hands. Feel me? You could fight their ass off, man. Niggas that should have been in boxing rings could have been real true gladiators. So my big homie CP used to sit on this corner, man. And CP, man, was I'm talking about a cold bruiser, man. A real bruiser. So being a young dude, we roaming around the projects, we in the shit, you know, we being wild and doing shit, but we watching and learning. Me, again, even though I'm 11, I'm 12, 13, my homies I'm running with, the Renzis, LB, all of us, I'm like an age or two older than them, and we right behind one another though, right? Even though, but I'm also always, I'm watching the big homies, or I'll blend off and slide over, and I slide up under one of the big homies who may be 20 years old. Yeah, man, my young ass is, I'm 13, 14. I'll go slide up under one of the big homies that's 20 years old or something, 19, 22. I'm asking questions, or I'm saying little shit, or I tell them, man, oh, I can do that. You know what I mean? I do it. You know what I mean? They need a mission done or something done. I tell them, nah, I can do it, man. I know how to get up in there. I get it. So learning these things and adapting these things in my life, it gave me that edge. It gave me that best of that second world. You know what I mean? It gave me the best of that world of the streets. So knowing this, I said, damn, this shit became fascinating to me. It became exciting and intriguing. So I was like, ooh, shit. So now, watching my big homies and watching my older homies with reputations and names already, and I always shout out these names. I always give up props, you know what I mean, give props to these names because this is what I seen. This is what I grew up under. And so seeing these cats, man, and seeing all my older big homies and seeing these dudes, man, I became intrigued. So I said, you know what? If I start gangbanging, I'm gonna be like such. I'm gonna take a little bit of him, a little bit, and that's what I did. I was like a comedian. I just took a little bit of anecdotes from a variety of my big homies. It was OGs. From their swag, you know what I mean? The integrity, you know what I'm talking about? I took pieces, bits and pieces, all of them. Because I used to sit back like a sponge and watch and observe and listen. I ain't do all that talking as a young nigga. I used to just listen to the big homies and watch. And then when it was time to speak, I speak or I ask questions. You know what I'm talking about? I ask questions. You know what I mean? So I just, you know, I took all that in stride. So with that being said, eventually it put me in a situation where I had to make a choice in my life because that time came where at 46 and 43, I lost my queen and my king back to back, man. My whole entire dream, my world was shattered. Everything about NFL, MLB, going to pros, going to college, because A1 that I had over a lot of my peers growing up was I was book smart. I came out of my household educated first. My parents and my grandparents taught us first. Then I went to school and got my academic education first. See, I never dropped out of school. I couldn't ditch. See, I couldn't come home with report cards and I got 18 absences on that bitch. How am I explaining it to my mom and my daddy, who's observing everything? They ain't them parents that ain't paying attention to their household. They ain't the parents who's their head stuck into a TV and they don't know what's going on with their children. No, I didn't grow up in that kind of household. My mom and daddy was hands-on with everything. Everything, man. You feel me? So I couldn't come home with a report card, all my siblings, talking about, well, hold on. Why was you tardy for 7 times when we dropped you off at school? What the hell you been, you was tardy? You know what I mean? So you couldn't explain that. So I couldn't do no dishing and all that old shit. I had to go to classes. Although I would go to classes and you know what I'm saying, what the nigga say? He said, I would go to classes, you know what I'm talking about, and I would have to literally sit there and learn because the purpose of me being here is for learning. So I'm not gonna sit there and not learn, although I was a class clown. I used to be in there clowning, joking with the rest of the class clown, but these niggas was real class clowns, dummies though. Couldn't read or write, real class clowns. But me getting that attention, I liked it, so I would involve myself at times. But the key was I made sure I stayed in school and I educated myself. So from there, from elementary to junior high school to high school to end up going to prison, blew my scholarship chances, went back to school, obtaining my motherfucking degrees, man, in AFI, man, which one is the elite schools in Los Angeles. I was accepted in that school by my test scores. Not my money and my tuition. You had to pass a test score, had to have a certain GPA level to even get in AFI. Then from there, I went to Stellar Academy. Me and T. Rogers went to LACC. You know what I mean? I obtained my AA degree from Drama, Arts, and Theater at LACC. So everything that I have put myself through and in my life has been sincere with me and for me, because that's who I am.